Well, Al from Jack Conway coming to us from Massachusetts. Welcome to the SkySlope Customer Spotlight Series.
Thank you for having me, Nikki. Thanks to SkySlope for inviting me.
Yeah, this is a really cool initiative. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your brokerage? Size, number of markets served, your role?
Yeah, so we have 600 agents, 18 offices. Probably most people would recognize the area is outside of Boston, somewhat of Boston, but outside of Boston and south. So if you know the geographic areas from just a little bit of the North Shore down to Cape Cod and then out to what we call the South Coast and on the western side, 495 area, 4 or 5 thousand square miles. And we do, just over $1 billion in sales each year.
Oh my gosh, wow. 600 agents.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. The offices vary in size. Our smallest office is probably 25 agents, with the biggest of 80.
Let's talk a little bit about the history of the brokerage.
Yeah. So the company was founded by Jack Conway, who was a former sports writer and but got out of the newspaper business at one point, realizing he needed to make money. He got married, needed to make money, had family on the way, and went to work for a developer and sold homes, sold brand new homes in the post-war era. Did very well. He went to the developer and said, "What can I do? I want to do more." And the developer said, "Go down to the South Shore. There's nothing happening down there." Well, it turns out there was a lot happening. He opened a business in 1956 with a shingle in a town called Hingham, sold a bunch of homes, started accumulating staff and agents. And by the mid 70s, had 30 offices, was the biggest name in real estate around here. We had red signs with seagulls on them. The 70s and 80s, the business exploded, rode through several waves of recessions and explosive sales growth and different things like that. But throughout that time was a marketing whiz, was a big believer in promotion, did newspaper ads, lots of newspaper, but also was one of the first people to do television commercials in real estate. So he was really just building a lot of promotion and bringing a lot of new agents in and training them. One of the first, if not the first brokers in the area to hire women, and definitely the first broker in the area to install a woman as a manager of an office. So
Wow.
forward thinking in a lot of different ways.
Wow. The history of Jack, he sounded like a pioneer
Yeah.
in the real estate world.
I think that ultimately it comes down to someone who has the drive and the passion to serve people, understands, honestly how to make money doing that. But
Mhm.
so it is sales, but a lot of it's service, and mostly it's about solving problems for people. So I learned that. I learned a lot about connecting with people, how to do that, both in person, but also how to stay connected. The art
Yeah.
of the handwritten note. I mean, we are a ninja company here, Ninja Sales, which is our foundational sales training and belief. It's all based on connecting with people that like, and trust. And he was constantly doing that.
Something you said that just stuck out to me was kind of like a handwritten thank you note. And I I struggle sometimes because I feel like that art is almost lost,
Right.
and how something so little can be so impactful, and it can really make somebody just feel really good and appreciated, um, even if it's something small.
Well, I'm on here because we're talking about a digital transaction software, right? Something
Yeah.
which requires no paper. But
Yes.
differentiators are touches, or a
Mhm.
touch of people can be a differentiator.
All right. Well, then you kind of painted a really great picture of the company and its growth and how it came to be and where you guys are right now. So, how long have you been a customer of SkySlope?
Yeah, I couldn't remember the exact year, but I'm going to say 2013.
Okay.
I know we were one of the first very large companies that SkySlope
Hmm.
had. Tyler was out of Sacramento. He was working with companies in that area. I feel like we were a really early adopter of it. As transaction management was actually becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Early
Yeah.
on, I think, yeah.
Well, that has to be really cool to be able to have kind of grown with the company from, the legacy product to everything that they've added up until now, and just all the different iterations as technology has evolved, and even now with AI making so many things so much easier and faster. So how were you guys able to implement SkySlope as a product to your agents when everybody was just used to lugging around big old files of all that
Yeah.
paperwork?
Yeah, that wasn't easy. I mean, I was thinking about it today and I remembered that we basically made it mandatory, but we had to train people. So there was that sort of gray area for months, maybe even a year, where some people were still doing things in a legacy way, filling out sales reports, type into PDFs, or literally
Mhm.
handwrite them and clip them all together, put them in a manila folder or something.
Yeah.
Um, it I can't even think of how we could possibly do this now without the the connection and the uniformity that we have, the speed at which we're able to do things. I can't even fathom not having it. And I don't know if anybody does do things all paper anymore. I have no idea.
Mhm.
But I remember when we brought it in, we had certain fields and categories that we required, and it was sending all kinds of updates to people, driving them nuts. And we had several all hands meetings with managers, and that were, we got to do this, we got to do that. But ultimately, I think it was just change that they feared, which we see with
Yeah.
everything we roll out in some way or another, or teaching someone something. There's a fear.
Mhm.
There's a loss of confidence. There's a lack of or lack of knowing what's going to be on the other side. How is this going to change me? Is this going to make me something different? And so we were constantly trying to promote the positives of what was happening. It'll save you time. You'll get paid faster. It'll be more accurate. The company will be more efficient. More money in your pocket because you'll be able to work on other things. So, but that's for me, it was one of the. I think it was like the third or fourth major tool that I had helped roll out in the company that had emotional tie. So I was
Uh-huh.
kind of used to it. I was a little bit had some calluses by then. I wasn't as easily moved, but it was tricky. But ultimately, I
Yeah.
don't think we could have anything but what we have now.
That's fantastic. So as SkySlope's product suite has grown, have you guys grown along with it and implemented all of the other products that they offer?
Yeah, particularly the forms. The One of the big problems, oh God, it's got to be 8 to 10 years ago, was you were going out of the system to pull forms into the
Mhm.
system, and once they integrated the forms, and that really like put us way ahead and cut us way up to, it's a full functioning system now,
Yeah.
enclosed, an enclosed ecosystem. So that's a big piece. The other thing I remembered as I was reflecting was when the buyer agency stuff came up and we were given that date of August 17th of 2024. And you're probably like, how do you remember that date? Well, that was my life for like 9 months leading up to that,
Uh-huh.
training on it, how to use it. We had all the forms and everything, but SkySlope actually created the ability to have a digital version of compliance, for lack of a
Mm.
better explanation, and kind of helped us speed up on some of that stuff. So that was another area where the company was forward thinking and reacted to like industry changes that were happening.
So sounds like you guys were one of the early adopters of the technology. How did you find out about SkySlope to begin
Oh,
with?
good. I'm glad you asked me that. And I don't know how
Yeah.
long you were there, but do you know what their initial marketing pitch was?
Oh gosh. You'll
Yeah.
have to tell me.
So the the thing that obviously caught our eye was the box that was delivered to me. I think Carol got a box too. And I opened it up and it's a roll of toilet paper. And
Okay.
it's the note from Tyler saying this: once you bring in our system, this is the only paper you'll ever need.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. I
And it
don't think
was
I've ever heard
brilliant.
that.
And so Tyler came and did all the training, worked with Jesse on the sales. We had a great process with it. Many vendors have told me that I'm the longest sales cycle they've ever had. Jesse would
Yeah.
like coin that, but it took some time, but we got there. But Tyler came in and helped us do all of the training. It was, for a founder, and you could tell like
Yeah.
he was bootstrapped in terms of that. He was putting everything he had into it. And I'm really interested in that kind of stuff too. And I'm interested in people who invent interesting things. So I liked being around him, but I always called him, when people came in to try to personalize it and make him seem a little less intimidating. No, he's not an intimidating person. He's bringing in this really intimidating thing. I'd say he's the
Mhm.
toilet paper guy, this is the guy that sent us the toilet paper. And so people would laugh, and it really not only got me thinking about them, but it also disarms people a little bit. It was a funny thing. So yeah, that's how we met.
Okay, so this is a great question. So you mentioned that you guys have changed a lot of things on how you run the business, clean things up, different operating systems. How has SkySlope been able to support you through all of those changes?
It's it's very sound, and they do keep up with the needs. So it's something you can rely on, I guess, through that. Um, it's not necessarily a revenue generating tool. So it's a tool that sort of helps us do our business on a regular basis. And you just want it to work. You want it to be
Right.
cost effective. You want it to be able to meet the needs of what you're doing, like what business you're closing, all of those things. And it's clearly done that for us and always done that for us. So um, it's like compulsory to the business. We need exactly what we get from SkySlope.
I mean, that's a beautiful endorsement. Like,
Okay. All right.
we need exactly what we get. Like that, I
Yeah.
think that's great,
Yeah.
right?
I think something like SkySlope that does that one thing really well is a really key piece.
I think that that's actually incredibly smart. I mean, it's such a good business model because I mean, it's kind of like the saying, like, if you're for everyone, you're for no one.
Right.
It's
Jack of all
similar. Like, it's
trades,
like if,
master of none.
yeah, if you're able to offer everything to everyone, then how good can you actually be at everything? You
Right.
can't.
Yep.
So, as you reflect on the past year, what has become clear to you about like the next chapter that your brokerage is getting ready for?
Well, something we work on every day is third generation succession. We really want to make sure that we succeed, which we are. We had a great year last year, and we're all working in the business together. So that's a key piece culturally. Another cultural key piece is making sure that we're consistently meeting the needs of our agents. Bringing in really quality people. One thing that's changed quite a bit over, I think, the last few years in our new agent training classes is the level of sophistication, knowledge, business expertise that new agents coming to our company have. And I think that's because we've gotten a lot more intentional about recruiting the right people, not just the people.
Mhm.
And then just recruiting in general, I think we offer a really great place to work for agents. Um, you know, culture is a word that people use, and they may not understand what it means, but I do feel like we can talk to agents and know, like, you're a really good fit here. You'll succeed here, because not everyone is, and we're not
Yeah.
asking to bring everyone in, but we've had a lot of success recently bringing agents over from larger companies that may have been merging or being sold or whatever you want to call all that consolidation that's happening, and offering them something that I think they may have had at their past place 10, 15 years ago, which is, and this is an overused word as well, but like a family feel. Um,
Mhm.
One of the things that I guarantee to anybody that joins here is you have access to our leadership here. When there's a
Sure.
problem, or you just want to share in success, or you just want to tell me something, you can pick up the phone and call me, text me, email me, whatever it is. Everyone here is valued, and we do a real, we put a real lot of effort into agent appreciation.
I think that is fantastic. When you are in an organization and you do have access to somebody who's multiple levels higher than you, or the CEO, the owner, and just being able to know and to be acknowledged as a human being that's contributing to the overall success of the company, that feels really good.
Yeah. And I feel good about that too. Like, the last 2 years, I've done the keynote continuing ed course for 2 hours on a training topic, and it can be dry, but
Yeah.
it feels really good afterwards when the agents get value out of it and said, I learned this, this, and this, that I'm able to give them that. Like, it's really important. We give the access to them so they can reach their goals and their dreams.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a differentiator for us.
It certainly sounds like it, and I mean, it sounds like a lovely place to work, Al, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So, real estate ever-changing market, right? We hear chatter about interest rates every single day, about, markets, prices still increasing, investors buying up single-family residences in all sorts of states. As those changes happen and we hear these headlines and you talk with your agents who are struggling with buyers and sellers, what do you feel like is the value or like principle that you guys are really committed to protecting as they navigate this ever changing market?
You know, it's we have to be somewhat market agnostic. Some of the noise you got to cut through, because if people are talking about interest rates, but yet it's not hurting demand, it is hurting affordability. And we do hope that we don't hit some sort of wall with that. But prices up slightly this year, rates are back up a little, but our demand is through the roof.
Well, this has been such a pleasant conversation, and I've loved learning from you about your brokerage. If people want to learn more about you guys, where can they find you?
Well, jackconway.com. That's easy. We've got a great social media presence. You can find me. If somebody is so motivated by listening to this, they want to talk to me. My cell phone's out there, my email's out there. I love to share, I love to help other people.
Wonderful. Well, Al, thank you so much. This has been so enjoyable having you here and being a part of this cool series.
You're welcome. Thank you, Nikki. My pleasure.